Evening to those who've joined from different time zones. I can already see a lot of familiar names. Hi, Jim. It's wonderful to see you back here again. Hi, Evan. So there's a lot of familiar names joining in. Maybe we give it a minute or so just to wait for the others. We have quite a few people joining in. While we're waiting, maybe just to set a bit of context as to what we're doing here today. So we've been receiving a lot of requests across the board for people to go through our platform and to experience really what a next-gen LMS really is, right? All parts of it, not just what a user experience is, but potentially what a content creator experiences, as well as what the administrator experiences. So we thought a cool way to do this for everyone and make it fun and engaging would be to just host a webinar and give the opportunity for everyone to join in. So while, of course, I take you through the platform, I will set a bit of context on what you're about to see. And then if you hang around all the way till the end, there probably will be a goodie, which I will be able to share with everyone. Okay, I think we have critical mass already, so we're good to go. Good morning again, and good evening for those joining us from different time zones. My name is Skanda. I'm going to be your host for the next 1 hour or so. Thanks so much for giving me your time this Wednesday morning. I've completely forgotten to share screen. So what I'm going to do is share my screen real quickly and walk you through. Okay, I think you should be able to see my screen now. Guys, just let me know if you can't. Okay, perfect. I think we're good to go. So as I was saying, today is going to be a walkthrough of this next-gen LMS called Gnowbe. And before we do that, maybe a quick introduction to who I am, what I do. As shared, my name is Skanda. I work here at Gnowbe. I lead the sales team for the region. I've always been in the learning space for about 7 or 8 years now. So I initially was working in Australia in the tertiary education space. And then when I moved to Singapore, I moved over to the technology side and have been working in the edutech space. So all my experience comes from education primarily. And of course, more recently, I've been working with a lot of enterprise clients solving their business problems through our next-gen LMS platform. This is us, I think, right now. A lot of us, a lot of you. I think given what has happened in the last 2 years, there's been a plethora, there's been, huge influx of platforms that have come in the space of online learning, digital learning, mobile learning, micro learning. I mean, it's never ending. And it can become quite difficult to decide what kind of platform is perfect for you, what way to go. There are a lot of players that have been in this space for a very long time. There are plenty of new players that are coming up. I think there are content decisions. What type of content you choose, not just in terms of the category of content, but the style of content. There are platform decisions, what type of platforms you choose, whether it's built for the computer, built for the phone, et cetera, et cetera. There are platforms focused on different sides. There are platforms that are focused on the learners. There are platforms that are focused on the administrators. So there are plenty of platforms out there. And today, what I would hope to do is make things a little easier for you in terms of what are those trends out there that are dominating this space, how Gnowbe can help, and where we play, where we fit into this big, influx of platforms that have come in essentially. And of course, it's not just, a feeling that we're having. It is something that has been proven by studies as well, that, a lot of people are experiencing a need. And that's why there are so many platforms out there, but more, very, very few actually have a clear sense of direction in terms of how to address this problem, which way to go to address this problem. So let's start by, maybe talking a little bit about the current context and what are those trends that are dominating this space? What are we seeing, right? I'll touch upon 4 main things. And I'll keep this section really short. So for those who missed out earlier on, what I'm trying to do here is just set a bit of context. And for those who are expecting a walkthrough of the platform, don't worry, that's coming up very shortly. This is me just setting the context a little bit, and then we'll jump straight into the platform. So again, we're talking about these trends that are dominating the content space. What are we seeing different today? What are those changes, right? So the first one that I'd like to talk about is how we're moving from a mobile responsive style to a mobile first style. The reason for this, of course, is because people and employees in general are spending so much more time on their phone. The reasons are many, right? Number one, of course, it's so much more accessible. Phones have longer battery lives. Phones have much better apps now. Phones are just getting better. Tech is getting far, far, far better. And desktops are still desktops. So as a result, people are spending so much more time on their phone. What does this really mean for us in the content consumption space? People are expecting a far better experience. They're not expecting a mobile responsive experience, but they're expecting a mobile first experience. And these are small aspects, but make a huge difference when someone is going through content on their phone. So that's a big piece that we're seeing. Of course, today's workforce is dominated by millennials. A lot of millennials are entering the workforce, and as a result, we're naturally seeing shorter attention spans across the board, which means from a content standpoint, content needs to be designed to suit shorter attention spans, which essentially means we're looking at a lot of bite-sized and engaging content. So it's not just about reducing the size or the duration of the consumption of the content, but it's also about making it engaging in the same breath, right? We're moving from knowledge to skills. So the focus before was definitely on accumulating knowledge. We're now shifting over to, gaining knowledge, but to be able to actually put it into a play, right? So moving from a focus on knowledge to skills, which basically means, again, from a content standpoint, we cannot develop the skills that we need to function in today's day and age, in today's economy, by just consuming videos or by just consuming text pieces or reading articles. We actually need to be able to put it into practice, of being able to apply what we're learning constantly. So this is another big difference that we're seeing. And then finally, learning agility. I think this is key. What's really happening is a lot of enterprises that I'm speaking to especially have a constant need to create content and to change the content that they have created. So to keep things agile, the validity of a content piece now has become so much lesser because of the need to constantly change. I mean, today's post-pandemic world is a perfect example. Every single day for us in Singapore, for example, we're seeing a change in the restrictions. We're seeing a change in the way we work, in whether we can go to work, and so on and so forth. So there's a need to constantly disseminate this information to employees. Even let's just talk about the product world, right? If you're doing a lot of product training, etc., there's so many more products that are being announced, that are being released. Products are being updated, so on and so forth. There's a reason now to have this agility in place. So unlike before, when you would probably create content once in the year and then forget about it for the next probably 2 to 3 years, there's a need now to create content constantly, right? So that brings me to how we're slowly moving, or we've probably even moved already from learning 3.0 to learning 4.0, right? Which is obviously where Gnowbe plays. So what was learning 3.0? Learning 3.0 was everything that was yesterday, which is essentially where the objective was primarily knowledge transfer. So however this happened was fine. But how was it happening? It was primarily happening through web-based solutions, which still exist, mobile optimized solutions, which has more recently come into the market. And in terms of the style and type of content, it was primarily video-based or text-based, but most importantly, it was one-way delivery. which basically meant there was, not a lot of opportunity for engagement. Plus, you're very rarely learning with anyone else. So you're primarily learning by yourself. So for a very long time, online learning or digital learning just meant that you were doing something by yourself, which we're now seeing a change, right? So which is where Learning 4.0 comes in. So there are four things that I'd like to talk about in Learning 4.0, right? The MPPG approach, which is basically micro-learning, participatory and personalized and group-based. Now, this isn't something that we've just drawn up from the air. This is really all feeding from the trends that we're seeing in the content space that are dominating the space, right? So there is a need to create content in a bite-sized manner. So Gnowbe, as a platform, was created to facilitate this style of delivery, right? So you can create micro-learning content on the platform. The platform was built to not just be one-way learning, but a far more engaging mode. And it was obviously built to provide a personalized experience for everyone who was going through it. And then finally, there was a strong organic focus on group-based learning. So it wasn't simply about people coming to a discussion forum and discussing their thoughts and opinions, but it was very much an organic part of the overall learning experience. So this has helped us move from the focus of knowledge transfer to actually focus a little more on learning effectiveness, skills transfer, skills acquisition, and a more social approach to learning, especially in today's day and age when everyone's kind of by themselves, potentially working from home, working in remote areas, etc. Now, all of this is well and good when we're talking about theory, but what is the actual impact? And we're seeing this impact play out in front of us, right? So you'll see, I'm not going to talk about the impact from the past, but you're seeing right now, across the board, we're seeing completion rates that range from 20 to 70%. Even at the bottom, this is way higher than what it used to be before, right? And I will show you a little more on the impact from a business standpoint as well, for those who are interested on the business side of things. So this, officially brings me to the point where I introduce you to the platform. What really is Gnowbe? This is basically an innovative platform that makes it super easy and fast to create, update, and track must-know information in bite-sized and social ways. Of course, the reason you see the mobile phone in front of the computer is Gnowbe is built for the phone. So we're a mobile-first solution that has been optimized for the computer that is sitting right behind it. So for those who pick up the phone and go through Gnowbe, it's going to be a native experience, and it's going to be an experience that they'll want to come back to, which is key, right? Now, a quick note on where we play. And right after this, I'll just share a bit of the business side and then go straight into the demo. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. But a quick note on where we play, right? I mean, with a platform like Gnowbe, it's just so easy and so flexible that it can be used for various different use cases. But primarily, we play under the umbrella of performance enablement, and we're seeing three main areas of traction, three main use cases, really. First one is sales readiness and enablement. This is, I think one of the reasons for seeing traction in this area is sales teams generally are, spread out. They're distributed workforces. They tend to work by themselves. They're not necessarily coming into the office. So they're mobile workforces as well. And there's a need to, get sales guys or sales teams enabled really quickly, onboarded really quickly, and productive really quickly. Plus, sales is a function that requires constant, training, whether it's products that they're selling, whether it's, services they're selling, so on and so forth. So with all of that said, we started seeing a lot of clients who needed to have that learning agility that we were talking about. And Gnowbe was able to offer that. Plus, a lot of our clients also were looking for platforms that, could be engaging for their sales staff or sales teams. So they didn't want to force their sales teams to sit down, open up their computer, and go through learning on their computer because it just wasn't happening. So give them content where it matters to them the most, which is their mobile phone. And that's why we've seen incredible results, incredible traction in that particular space. Onboarding and engagement is something, where we've seen incredible traction very recently as well, especially in the engagement side, given what's happening today in the pandemic world. We've had a lot of clients basically saying that, hey, we are not really sure how engaged our employees are. They're all kind of working from home. We're doing everything that we can. So Gnowbe, was the perfect solution for them to engage with their employees more frequently, because again, the content creation experience was so much easier that you didn't really have to spend months or weeks to create some content to distribute to your workforces. Plus, I think onboarding or induction or new employee onboarding is one of our most popular use cases, of course. This is just a very easy way to bring in your employees into the organization without having to spend a lot of resources, without having to spend a lot of time by your managers and management and so on and so forth. It's because Gnowbe, has a strong focus on the social side. The onboarding experience becomes a team-based experience, even though they're kind of doing it on their phone, remotely even potentially. So onboarding and engagement is definitely another place where we're playing in. And then the last one, of course, is learning and development, which is our bread and butter, really. But the focus is always on action-based learning when it comes to Gnowbe. And of course, you can see the different types of use cases that are mentioned on the side. These are just some of the use cases that fall into these different categories. All right, I'll quickly move on to the business impact that I had shared before. As I said, it's not just about engagement rate. It's not just about completion rate or open rate. We're actually seeing a business impact. So our clients are essentially able to recognize or, gain back the money that they're spending on the platform in no time, right? So we're seeing 10x ROI. For those who are using Gnowbe for new employee onboarding, they're actually seeing, a decrease in the time taken to become productive, right? So nearly a 75% decrease. So people or employees are becoming productive much, much faster when you're going through onboarding on Gnowbe. And then, of course, I think the most important piece is how Gnowbe is helping with cost savings. We're seeing clients save a lot of money when they're switching over to the platform for the various different use cases. All right, I'm going to stop right here and switch screens very quickly. With that context, I want to now jump straight into the platform and not spend any more time. Just give me 1 second. And what we'll also do when it comes to question and answers is the team is collecting all the questions that are being raised right now, and I will answer all of it right at the end once I'm done with this. And of course, if there are some questions that the team can respond to right away, you will see a response right away as well. Where is my screen? There we go. All right. So a couple of things that I'm going to do is first, I will share what you're seeing right now is my mobile phone screen. So please let me know, guys, if you can't see anything. I think everyone should be able to see it. Yes, I think everyone is seeing it. I will share the mobile version of the app because, of course, we're a mobile first solution. And then I'll share the web version as well. So as I said at the start, this is a complete product walkthrough. So we'll be walking through the entire product for you and not hiding anything and showing everything off, okay? So we'll start off by opening up the mobile app, which is all the way on the top of my screen. And this is really the first screen that you would encounter as an employee. So for now, let's just assume all of us are employees and going through this platform as employees. What I will see as an employee is the most recent module that I was doing, and it brings me right there, shows me that, hey, you were doing this and go back to this right now. So this is a great way for people who get distracted easily and kind of switch apps and go somewhere else. When you come back in, it takes you back to exactly where you left off and not some random home screen where you're kind of figuring out what you need to do. But let's not go into this right now. Let's explore that home screen a little more first. So this is really that home screen that you're seeing. It's very similar to Netflix in its arrangement, so super easy to use. What you see on the top row are the recent modules that you were doing. So as an employee, these were the modules that I was doing, and all of these modules are arranged for me all the way on top. The ones in the middle, or right here, right now in the middle, are the ones that have been assigned to me that are brand new and I haven't touched yet. So these are my new programs. And the ones all the way at the bottom are my personalized list of programs that I have liked. So this is my easy access drawer almost. So I can come back in here very quickly and open up the modules or the content that I liked a lot. So assuming I'm a sales guy, I would have all my product knowledge or product info modules down here in my like program. So I can come in here very quickly and just open up the one that I need. Additionally, of course, if there's a content piece that I'm searching for, I can click on that search icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen, simply type the name of the content or even anything that is within the content, and our robust search functionality will pull it out for you and you can directly go into the module. So multiple ways in which you can access your content. Now, before I get in and actually start showing you one of these modules, let me quickly open up my settings tab. And I just want to show you the flexibility that we offer when it comes to languages, right? Because I know that a lot of people have dialed in from different countries. As you can see, I can go into my settings and there is an option for me to change my language. So I can actually change the system language or the language of the overall interface to the language of my choice. You will notice we have 20 different languages in here. Most Asian languages are already included here. It also has quite a few European languages, and this is not an issue for us. So if you don't see a language that you need in this list, we can put it in there very quickly. So that's not a problem at all. So this is another key advantage that Gnowbe has, providing far more local and a personalized experience depending on where your employees are based out of, right? So let's come back. Back to the home screen here. What I can do now is click on one of these modules. So let me just click on this module called Leading Others. So now this is basically a sample module, of course, meant for first-time managers. So it's a leadership training module, one of those 21st century skills. Now, before we start, let me draw your attention to these numbers right here in the middle of the screen, right? So you'll notice that this entire module is 45 minutes long, but it's broken down into 3 micro lessons, right? Remember those dominant trends that we were talking about? People don't have a lot of time. So this is how we're making sure that, even the busiest person has a chance of going through this module. By breaking it down into micro lessons where each lesson is only 12 to 13 minutes long. And that way you can just finish one lesson and go away and come back when you have a bit of time and finish the next one and so on and so forth. So this is basically micro learning being played out in front of you, right? Of course, I can find out what this program is all about here. This is basically the cover page of this module. And then I can also find out who the content creator is. And I have the ability to chat with the content creator, but this is optional, right? It's completely optional. You can turn it on, turn it off, depending on the type of course that you're delivering. But again, just adding that next layer of engagement, of connectivity, when someone is going through a module like this, the ability to engage directly with the trainer, right? It's such a small thing, but it can be a game changer. So let's just click on those micro lessons that I was talking about, the list of sessions right here. So these are the 3 sessions that make up this particular module. Now we have a lot of flexibility in how you deliver these 3 sessions or these 3 lessons. In this case, it is in an unlocked mode, which means I can go through any lesson I want to and just go about my learning. There's no compulsion for me to do the first one. You can push your employees to go through it sequentially, which means you can force them to go through it in an order, right? Scaffold their learning. That's an option. You can even decide to drip feed this content to them at different times, and all of this can be automated. What I mean is maybe the system releases the first lesson today, And automatically, the system would release the second lesson 6 days from now, and the third lesson 12 days from now, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to how you deliver this. It really depends on the use case and what you're trying to achieve. And of course, our success team will help you with what are the best practices for each use case and how you can go about achieving your, your KPIs and so on and so forth. So let's just click on that first lesson and go into the actual module and experience it as an employee, right? So when I walk in, the first thing I will see is, of course, the system picks up my name and addresses me and picks up the time of the day. There's a bit of an introduction to what this micro lesson is all about, right? And then when I scroll further down, I come across these rectangular boxes. Now, these are what we call our learning actions. So a couple of things to notice here. We've kept things very simple, very clean, and very crisp. And this was done purposely, of course. We did not want to waste your employees' time. They have something else to do, obviously, and this is not their main job. So when they come here, you don't want them to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what to do and see complicated animations coming through and just having to kind of sit back and have no control over their learning experience. So very quickly, an employee knows exactly what is expected of him or her. For example, when I walk in here, I know I'm going to be doing about 6 minutes of reading. I'm going to watch a video for about 4 minutes. And then I'm actually going to do something for about 8 minutes. And then I'm going to read something and probably finish off. So very quickly, I can get into the flow of learning by just clicking on that first icon right there. There we go. Now, this is a read action, so all I'm expected to do here is read. Now, of course, this is a bit old school, but we tend to mix things around. So it's not going to only be read, read, read. You will see different modalities that come into play here. So once I'm done reading here, I can simply click next and move forward, right? A quick thing to note is in a read action like this, your employees, especially those who are probably on the move or who don't like to read, always have an option of clicking on the speaker icon on the top right-hand corner of the screen. And when you do, the system would read it out for you, like an audiobook, right? Like a podcast. So you don't have to, open this and read the entire thing. You can just put in your headphones and listen to it. Again, moving forward, now along the way, you have the ability to insert these kind of pop-ups. These have various different use cases. In this particular case, we're trying to measure how confident they feel now. And then we can ask this at multiple times of the training and see how their confidence has changed, whether it's improved, whether it's stayed the same, whether it's decreased, and so on and so forth. And all of that data and that analysis will be given to you on the dashboard. So you will be able to open up the dashboard and view how things have changed for different people and as a group as a whole as well. So you can truly then see, did this content or did this module help my team improve their confidence level, right? And you'll be able to clearly see that. Let's just say I'm at 2 out of 5 right now in terms of my confidence levels. Once I type that in, I can essentially move forward. And now comes a video. I can watch this video full screen, turn my phone around, the standard stuff in a video. Once I'm done watching that, again, I move along, right? You have the ability to kind of tell them what's coming up, just to keep them aware. You also have, the opportunity to share these kind of motivational quotes along the way. And you have the ability to customize the background in such actions. So these backgrounds can potentially be, an opportunity for you to showcase your branding. The reason is, if this is a quote that is really, that really hits me, or it makes a big difference for me, or I'm really moved by it, there's every chance that I share this with my social media. And it's just one click of a button on the top of the screen right there. And with that, you're getting free branding, right? You're just having the ability to really use your employee power that way. But do note, this feature of sharing to social media is only available for this action and this action alone. So none of the other content can be shared outside of the platform. Everything else is locked in. This is the only opportunity you're giving your users to kind of go out and share a little bit about what they're doing, right? All right, let's just move, right? Okay, excellent. We've finally come to an action where if I try to click next, I'm trying to click next, by the way, it doesn't let me move forward. Until now, it was simple, click, go next, click, go next. There was nothing really stopping me from just skipping through everything. But now I've come across an action that actually requires me to do something. And without doing it, I cannot move forward. So this is a great way to insert these kind of application-based actions along the way to truly check if the people in the group are actually learning what they're doing, if they're understanding what they're going through, and also give some of them an opportunity to apply themselves, right? So the objective of this particular action, of course, was, all right, you've seen a video on the importance of leadership and the importance of acknowledging, your fellow team members as a leader. Why don't you put it into action right away, right? So here is me putting that into action. So I'm just typing down a name of a team member of mine. And let me just say, Sam has got great leadership strengths already. So I'm just going to say Sam is a great leader, and I'll stop there for now. And with that, the moment I type that in, I essentially can now move forward. But not only can I move forward, I also have the ability to share this response of mine with my group. So remember when we were talking about some of the advantages of Gnowbe early on, I was saying that Gnowbe is a platform where you're never alone, right? Even though you might be doing this by yourself in a remote location, you're never really alone. And this is really where it plays out. You're always going through content as a group, right? So as a team. So when I do something like this, when I apply myself and share an application like this, I can share this with my group. So everyone sees what I have written. They can learn from me. They can help me out. And it just creates, a culture of learning in the team. So when I click on the share to group icon, what has happened is this response of mine now has been shared with my group, right? So let me step out of this learning environment. As you can see, these are the actions that I have done. There's a tick mark next to them, and my response is recorded right there. But let me open up the group board, which is on the bottom of the screen right there, to show you where my response has been shared. So you will see that all the way on the top left-hand corner, you will see my response that has appeared there right now. And this is essentially where your content comes alive, or it kind of takes a life of its own. Right. So what you see here is everyone who's part of my group, right? What they have been sharing, reflecting, communicating, updating, so on and so forth, with regards to this particular content. So quick note here, everything that you see here is highly contextualized. This isn't a random forum where people come and just share their thoughts. This is firstly available only to the people who are part of my group. And administrators would decide how you group your learners together, or how you group your employees together. So number one, this is only available to my group. And number two, the posts here that I'm seeing are directly coming from the module that I am doing. So we're doing that leadership training module called Leading Others. Everything that I see here is contextualized to that module. Now, of course, this is the group board, and this imitates, the look and feel of social media. So the things that you can do here are similar in the sense that you can like people's comment. You can start a discussion thread on what someone has just said. You can even click on someone's name and send them a private message if you really want to communicate directly to them. Or maybe you're the trainer and you want to share something with a participant, you can send them a private note, right? If you don't want to let everyone else know. You can view their learning profile, you can view what they have been sharing, so on and so forth. But essentially, this is really where everyone come together. Now, one of the big advantages of the group board, other than the more obvious ones, is that this is fantastic when we're talking about asynchronous experiences, right? So for example, if I were to start a course today, and maybe Jody here was to start a course on Wednesday, maybe I was disengaged after the first 2 days, right? I only did 50% of my learning, and then I got distracted and I went away and I never came back to the platform. But Wednesday, Jody started her journey, and she came to the group board and she saw what I have shared and everything, and she kind of started engaging with what I've shared. So she liked my comment, she updated or she posted a comment on what I have just shared, and instantly what happens is I get a push notification letting me know that Jody has just liked your comment, or Jody has just shared a response to what I have shared, and so on and so forth. So when I click on that push notification on my phone, it brings me back to the system. So that's the key aspect here. We have designed the platform in such a manner that there are multiple different ways to constantly keep bringing back your employees in until they actually complete what they're set out to do. So, whenever I come back in, there's every chance that I look at the group board and I'm like, wow, a lot of people are engaging here. Let me see how much I've done. So I open up my progress tab. I see that, oops, I haven't done a lot. There's quite a few actions that are remaining. I've only spent 15 minutes on this particular module. Let me scroll down and see what those actions are that I am yet to finish. All right, all these actions in red are the ones that I'm yet to do. So I go back in there and I complete it. So you're giving your employees every opportunity to come back in. And naturally, the more engaged the group is, the higher chances of everyone constantly coming back in, because there's a lot of liking, there's a lot of push notifications being going out, and so on and so forth. While I'm on this screen, a quick note here also that you can basically award, or you can do certification programs on Gnowbe as well. So you can award certificates of completion. And this is really where I could come and request for my certificate. And you can, it's a robust mechanism where you can, of course, decide when you want to award a certificate, only if they do X amount, only if they finish the assessment that you've set out for them, so on and so forth. So you can put in multiple different conditions there before they can actually get their digital certificate. And this certificate is something that you can completely customize with your own branding, with your own logo. And it's a digital certificate, so it can directly be put into their LinkedIn profile, essentially. So that's a real powerful tool. So let's come back to that group board. Another thing of the group board, of course, is for those competitive-minded folks, they can really just open up the group members tab and view a leaderboard, right? And see exactly where they stand. Now, of course, this is a massive public group, so there are a lot of learners here, but typically your group sizes will range from 20 people, 50 people, so on and so forth. So you'll be able to see where you stand, right? How much you've completed, and depending on how much you've completed, you would essentially be assigned a rank and would be on the group board. So this is another great way to kind of motivate those people that are more competitive minded, that get pushed to kind of complete because they want to be number one, right? Excuse me. All right, cool. So that was the group board. Let me come back to the session screen here. Maybe one other thing that I wanted to show you very quickly also is this is where I switch my session, so I can move to the next micro lesson right here. But also all the way in the bottom of the screen, there is an option for you to learn offline. So this is key for multiple workforces, right? For mobile workforces, this is extremely important because a lot of times you don't want to waste your data on learning, and you don't want to waste your data on watching videos, etc. So you can always just click this button, learn offline, and when you're in in Wi-Fi, and then the whole data would be downloaded onto the platform, so you can essentially learn offline just the way you would with your Netflix and Amazon and so on and so forth. This is also applicable, of course, to people in remote areas where bandwidth is a bit of an issue. So this is definitely a key feature that's helping a lot of our clients out, right? So let me come back here. Maybe let me just open up another lesson and show you another quick use case of how interesting the platform can be. So Gnowbe doesn't simply serve, as a learning tool. It can actually be used to do some task management as well. So for example, as part of this particular leadership course, one of the tasks you want them to do is meet one of their employees and have a coffee with them, right? So this entire lesson is all about relationship building. And one of the activities in there is actually getting them to go and meet one of their employees. So in order to get them to do it, what you can actually have here is an action like this, where you get them to have a coffee with their employee, and while they're doing it, take a photo and upload it right here. So I can simply click on this button and take a photo right now, upload it, and share it with the group board, right? So this is another key functionality where you're really bringing that learning experience to their context, where you're actually getting them to do things with their phone and not simply kind of sit back and consume. So this becomes a far more interesting and engaging experience when, as a leader, I'm going through this. I'm like, oh, cool, I get to do cool things here, not just sit back and watch someone else speak about leadership. I'm actually getting to do things. This kind of application can be replicated in new employee onboarding, right? So when you're getting a new employee on board, one of the things you want them to do is meet the team, meet their manager, meet the CEO, and so on and so forth. Or even do things like, upload their bio data, or, basically get them to do a lot of tasks. So with Gnowbe, we make that a fun process, and we essentially make it possible for you to even do while you're training them on different things. So that type of application is also frequently being used in new employee onboarding. Okay, I'm just conscious of time here. I'm kind of going to stop very quickly. What I wanted to show was, overview of how it is to learn on the platform. What are the different types of ways you engage with the platform? Of course, we haven't shown everything. We've only shown about 4 or 5 different actions. We'll touch upon the other ones when I'm showing you the content creation platform. But the idea was to show you that, although it's a simple tool, you have the ability to change up the modalities of learning. You have the ability to constantly keep them on their toes. By mixing up the types of actions, right? By getting them to read, getting them to watch, getting them to do, and so on and so forth. And not just stop there, but then take that to the next level, elevate that experience by getting them to engage and discuss and communicate with their fellow group members. So it's an all-in-one experience. You're never doing this by yourself, and it's engaging, but at the same time, within 10 minutes, I'm done, right? I finished this micro lesson and I can essentially move forward and do what I need to do. So it's basically best of all worlds, right? Okay, cool. So I'll stop here in terms of, this is really what I wanted to show you from a learning standpoint. I will show the web version, don't worry. But while I was on this screen, I thought I could also show you the content creation platform. So quick note for everybody, I'm now moving from the employee experience to the content creator experience. Remember, we spoke about the importance of learning agility. How important it is becoming now to have the ability to constantly change, modify, edit, or create content, right? So let's just say, remember, we've switched from employee to content creator mode. So now I'm a content creator. I'm an instructional designer in a company, and I have created this leadership training content, and I've shown it to the people who need it. And they tell me, all right, this is fantastic, but we don't like the way it ends, right? Right now, it's ending in a very absurd manner, because as you can see, it ends with asking people to do a sales pitch, which makes no sense. So can you please remove that, right? Let's remove that from here and maybe replace it with something that makes more sense, maybe a live poll, right? So to engage everyone and to kind of get their feedback on how things are going. I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks for your feedback. Let me see what I can do. So now that I've got that feedback, I need to make these changes. Now, if you're looking at your typical learning solutions, to make a change to an existing piece of content, you need to open up your content creation tool, open up the source file, go ahead, look for those different modalities, add them in, remove, et cetera, and then kind of export it, put it back into your LMS, and then kind of test it out. That's a long process. Now watch what I need to do on Gnowbe in order to essentially do the exact same thing, right? So I was told that the ending doesn't make sense for this particular micro lesson, change it up and add a live poll, right? So I am going to click on that notepad icon on the top right-hand side of my screen. Now I see that icon because I'm the content creator. Employees will not see that, right? Employees will only see the content. They'll not see that icon. When I click on that icon, the screen flips 180 degrees, indicating to me I'm now in the content creator mode, which means anything that I do now will be reflected live, right? So for example, I can go and edit this description right here, and it will be updated instantly. Or I can scroll further down, and let's say I'm not very happy with the order of the actions. I can simply drag and move them around and figure out, okay, this is a better order, or maybe this is just the best order, right? And then of course, what I was intending to do was remove this absurd last action that doesn't make any sense here. So I'm going to delete this for the time being. And yes, and add an action that makes a little more sense. So we were planning to add a live poll. So to add a new action, all I would have to do is click on that icon on the bottom of my screen. And now the system gives me 12 different types of actions or modalities to choose from to deliver my content, right? So most of these are self-explanatory, but I'll go through some of them. You know, you can, if you had a video file, you can upload a video. We've already seen that. Text is fairly obvious. We've seen the quote action. Image and audio is pretty cool. Let's say you have a slide, a complicated slide that you need to deliver, but at the same time, you need to be able to explain what it means. That way you can actually put an image, so the slide, and then a voice note of you explaining the slide in the background, right? So it's a far quicker process instead of having to record a video explaining the slide and so on and so forth. A simple question and answer, multiple choice. This is the one that I'm going to choose right now. Take photo or video is super powerful. We just saw that. So you can get your employees to take photos and videos, you know, take the, bring the context to them really. Choose a file is a recent action that we've added where your employees can actually upload files. So this is fantastic when you want them to make submissions, right? So this gets more academic or, you know, more on the assessment side. You can attach different web links, external web links to the training journey. So if you want them to see maybe a webinar like this one, you can just attach the web link right there. If you want to conduct an auto-graded assessment, right, a fully robust auto-graded assessment that a lot of our academic clients, right, our universities, polytechnics are using, you can actually use that particular action. And the last one, of course, is if you want to add a certificate of completion, you can do so as well. So let's come back. We wanted to add a live poll. So I'm going to click on this multiple choice right here and let them know that this is a live poll, okay? And just like that, a brand new action has been added. I'm going to open it up and fill it out, right? So I'm going to say, maybe, how did you like this session? Okay. And I'll give them some options. The first one was, this was great. Next one was, can be better. Not so good. Okay. And maybe I switch that to poll as well. And just like that, in a matter of seconds, I have created my live poll. I have modified an existing module based on the feedback that I received. And I click that to save it. And I get out here and it's done. Now, the best part for any content creator out there, any designer out there, is to see it in action, is to test it and see how this looks, right? And testing is something that we've made very easy again. In order to test it, you would simply click on that eye icon right there, and immediately the screen flips and I'm now back to the employee experience. So now I'm an employee again, and now I would have received a push notification notifying me that there's a change made to this module. When I come in, it will show me that there is a new action right there. So there's a badge notifying me that this is new. And I can go click on it and I'm being asked to poll. So let's just say this session was great. So with that, I'm instantly notified how many people voted with me. And this is a live poll, so this will change as and when people vote. And just like that, I am done, right? So creating or creating content is identical. It's just as easy. So this was basically me trying to show you how quickly you can modify something that's already existing and how it can be done on your phone, right? So this is, of course, revolutionary. We haven't seen this before. We call it one-touch authoring, where you essentially are on your phone as a content creator, as a designer, and you want to make small changes. You can simply click on that button that we clicked on, go make those changes and test it out, or basically make it go live like I've done right now. So all the people that are going through this module now are seeing this change. So that's how quick you can be when it comes to modifying something that's already out there. So maybe I'll also quickly show you how easy it is to create something from scratch, right? So this was me modifying something that was already existing, but creating from scratch, a lot of our designers and content creators prefer to use the big screen, prefer to use the computer to do so, right? So let me just stop sharing and switch over and take you to the computer screen again. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. So I'm opening up web.gnowbe.com. So this is basically the web version of what you just saw right now, right? Obviously bigger screen, but the user interface is the exact same. Everything that you saw on the phone is identical to what you're seeing right now. So I was on this particular module. You will notice that it is instantaneously synchronized with what I had done on my phone, right? It's the same exact experience. And all the way at the bottom, you will see the live poll that I literally created a few seconds ago. But the reason we are here on this big screen is to create something from scratch. And in order to create something from scratch, I simply click on this create a program button. So when I click on this button, I'm given 3 options, right? So the first one is I can create with template. So what we do to make this process even more easier for you is we've created a template library, which is growing every month. So this has various different templates that you can choose from depending on what your needs are, depending on what your use case is. As you can see, we have business related templates, new employee onboarding related templates, culture and engagement, events and workshops, even sales and marketing. So all these templates are ready to go. You click on them and then you start customizing them based on your requirements and needs. So this is an easy way to start creating content. The other way, of course, is to create your own from scratch, and I'll show you that in a second. The last one is importing SCORM. So a lot of people that I'm talking to have asked me, hey, I'm already using an old school LMS, but I want to move, but I have a lot of content sitting with me. And all of it generally would be in SCORM format, right? SCORM is basically a format of learning content. So how do I migrate your system? Well, the answer is right here. It's just one click of a button. And in most cases, we kind of do it for you as well. So let's say you have 100 SCORM files that were sitting in your system that you were using for age-old training. Maybe 50 of them you want to bring over because they're still relevant. We will simply import all of it for you so you don't lose that content. But at the same time, you can start building more new age content as you move forward, and you can slowly kind of archive the older stuff. So we make that migration process extremely easy for you as well. So let's just say we wanted to create something from scratch. I would click on that create your own. I would type in a program title here. Let's call this employee onboarding because that's what I'm trying to do for now. I can choose my program language. I can choose the difficulty level. I can choose what category this falls under. So maybe this is just business. All these things, right? Difficulty, category, skills, etc. These are used for the backend or the dashboard. And these are basically pieces of metadata that we will be using later on. So for example, here, if you're talking about what skills we want to tag with this particular module. Let's just say you're picking up some sales skills. I can type it in, and now immediately that gets tagged to this module. So when I finish this on the dashboard or Gnowbe dashboard, you're basically able to do a bit of skills profile benchmarking. So you're able to see your entire organization, see where they're strong in terms of their skills, where is a gap, who has what kind of gaps, and then you can address it accordingly. So that's the advantage of tagging these kind of skills. And once you've done all of that, you would simply say create, and the system would create a brand new program for you, right? So here you go, it's created. I can drag and drop an image right here. This is my cover page, and I can start adding sessions to my program. This is my first session. Maybe this is my introduction session. I add my next one where I maybe have them, meet your team. The next one is maybe something about getting them to learn about the vision and mission of the company, and so on and so forth. So just like that, I've added 3 sessions. I can now go into introduction and now start adding my actions. So you see how I'm building a bit of a wireframe right here. And once I've built this, I can then start adding in the content very easily. So all of this is, I'm basically doing this in a matter of seconds, right? So the important piece here, of course, is to understand how you build, how you storyboard your sessions and your actions together. So that's a key part. So you do a bit of planning around that. And once you have that plan, it's simply a matter of coming here and clicking a few buttons and you're good to go. Of course, this is the first layer of content creation. I won't have time today to explore the multiple layers where beyond this, there is that second layer where you start talking about the automations, right? You start talking about personalizing the learning experience. So you can start adding trigger-based responses, trigger-based emails, and really elevate the level of interaction of the content. So this, of course, is all fairly one-dimensional, which is just creating content, creating a wireframe, adding it in, and so on and so forth. Once you've done that, you can then raise the level of interaction by adding in those second-degree features, as I like to call them. And this is all something that we train you on. We provide you with the necessary support. So there's no issues there. But as you can see, what I've just done right now truly requires no training. You can basically pick this up and you can basically fly. So with that, again, I'm very conscious of time. This is obviously running over a little bit. I'll quickly spend just 3 to 4 more minutes on the dashboard because I promised a complete walkthrough of the product. For those who need a rush, don't worry, this entire session is being recorded, so you will receive recording. Don't worry about it. But I'll only spend 3 to 4 minutes because I am conscious of everyone's time. We'll jump over now to the dashboard. So we've switched from the employee view to the content designer view, now to the administrator view, right? So what you're looking at right now is dashboard.gnowbe.com. This is another web app that your administrators would log into to monitor the entire organization and to see how the whole organization is doing. What I'm showing you is Gnowbe's internal organization on the dashboard. And of course, you see right away, there's a big graph here showing me user activity across the last month or so. And this is a daily graph. Now, this first screen that you see here really is simply to give you an org-wide understanding of what's happening, right? So you would have to have special access to be able to see this. This is the highest level of access. So for those people who can monitor the entire organization, they'll be able to see this view. They'll be able to see total number of users they have, how many people have actually started, how many groups have been created, and what the average completion rate is across the board. You can, obviously look at these graphs. You can export this so that you have numbers and you can do your, analysis on it. But I think what's important here to note is what are the we have 3 main ways in which you can really slice and dice your data on the dashboard. The first way is to look at the groups and to look at how groups are performing as a whole, and then to go into individual groups and see how those groups are doing. So one way you can monitor your organization is through groups, right? So that is an aggregated way of looking at data. The second way you can monitor your organization is through users or your employees, is to monitor individual employees. So let's say maybe an employee is up for a promotion. You want to see exactly how he or she is doing. You would click on the employees tab right here or users tab, search by their name, and get their entire history of everything that they have done, the skills that they have achieved, the content that they have finished, the time that they have spent, and so on and so forth. So for example, if I were to open one of these employees, this is the kind of view that you will see. You will see their skills performance index here. As you can see, there's so many different skills that they have picked up on, the amount of time that they've invested, how much they've completed, and you'd have always benchmarking against the organization, what they have started, how many they've graduated from, and so on and so forth. So that's the second way in which you can slice and dice data. And the third way is through the actual learning modules. So we call them programs. So when you click on that programs tab, you will see all the different modules that have been distributed to the organization, and you will then be able to see how these modules are doing. So this is also a great way to see, monitor the health of the content, to see which content is really popular, why it's popular, which content isn't popular, so on and so forth. So there are three different ways in which you can slice and dice the content. I'll just click on the groups just to show you what you really see when you click on it. So let's just say I'm here. These are the different groups in our organization. You get to see in a quick glance the health of the group, how they're doing, what their completion rate is, what their graduation rate is, how many people are there in this particular group. And then if I want to go further, I can click on one of these groups, drill down, and get even more information on that group. Similarly, if I wanted to go into the modules and see the different modules that have been distributed to this particular organization, I can click on each of these and view how they're doing, what their completion rates is, graduation rates, how many minutes have been spent on this, and so on and so forth. The last one, I know I'm doing this very quickly, apologies, but the last one that I wanted to touch on was messaging. This is a really cool functionality that we've added pretty recently as well, where you can do some really cool targeted messaging, and you can even do scheduled messaging. When I say messaging, I mean two things, either push notifications or email notifications. So you're actually able to design push notifications for a certain target audience within your organization, and then maybe even schedule it and decide when you want to send it. So for example, let's say I want to send a push notification to all the people who have less than 50% completion on a certain program, right? So I would just say filter, I would add a new filter, I would choose completion rate, I would say less than 50%, I would apply that filter, and immediately all the relevant people will be selected. I will then click next, and then I can select push notification, I can select email notification, I can even select when I want to schedule each of these notifications, and then hit next and send it out. So in a click of a button, I'm able to design this targeted messaging for 67 people, in a matter of seconds, essentially. So that very, very quickly was the dashboard. So I know I'm well over time here. So what I will quickly do is pause now, stop sharing, and let you know a couple of things. One is, thank you, Evan. One is, I'd promised that there would be a goodie right at the end. And although we're over time, I'm not going to be sharing the goodie right now, but I will promise that everyone will receive an email with this special goodie that I've promised. So look out for your emails. Our team will reach out very shortly, and you will be able to see what this really is, right? So that's number one. Number two, I know we rushed through the dashboard. So if there's anyone out there who wants a more detailed run through of the dashboard and have any questions around it, please feel free to reach out to me or reach out to the team. You will receive an email with instructions on how you can reach out to us. And we'll be happy to schedule a customized walkthrough session for you guys. And lastly, I can see quite a few questions have been raised. What I will do is, for the ones that haven't been answered, I will respond to it via the email and send it out so everyone gets to see what the questions were and how we've responded to it. But with that said, thanks everyone for your time. Apologies again for running over. And I hope it's been instructive session for everyone. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've seen why Gnowbe is really successful in today's day and age with all the trends that are dominating the space right now. Again, thanks for your time. Hope to see you soon. Take care and stay safe, guys.